Frank Skinner.
Radio.
If you like a ukulele lady like you. It's Frank Skinner here at, oh, my chair's very creaky, I apologise for that. I'm already on the back foot with my early apologies. Frank Skinner, Not the Weekend podcast with Emily Dean and Steve Williams.
Hello.
He's still sitting in for the cockerel.
Mm.
And I'm liking it here. We're in the studio we're in this week has got a window, which is a bit of a plus.
It is.
Yeah, usually we're in, it's not a studio, it's a cell. Let's face it. And I don't know, I like the coziness of the windowless room.
Really?
Do you?
Yeah, there's something interviewed by the Stasi about it, which I like. But, you know, it swings and roundabouts for me. I'm noticing that the room across the road is painted in claret and blue.
Yes.
West Ham.
I've been following their decor approach for some time now.
Have you?
Yeah, I always keep my eye on what's going on over there.
Well, it's... we'll keep you posting on that over the week, should we ever come back to this.
Just bought some white Italian leather sofas.
On the subject of colour, a nation holds its breath. I was painted this week.
Painted this week?
Yeah. I don't
In what
mean
sense?
I don't mean someone put a small cat face on me at a fete. I mean,
Nor in a sort of Shirley Eaton style.
No. Well, Shirley Eaton, if I remember rightly, no one left a hole, and her skin couldn't breathe, and she died. Not Shirley Eaton, but the character in the film. Rubbish. I've met Shirley Eaton.
From a cat face painting?
No, she was Goldfinger. She wasn't.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, she was gold. She wasn't just
She wasn't
Goldfinger. She was gold everything.
Gold also.
I think you were telling me about the most dangerous fate incident of all time then. The woman got a cat face painted on her and they didn't leave a hole for the mouth.
That would have been terrible.
It would have been awful, but what an open casket funeral that made.
I think if they didn't leave a hole for the mouth, though, on a face painting thing, the mouth would still exist.
Or move the mouth further down.
You're suggesting that it imposes. If you don't paint the orifice, it goes. That's what you're saying. If you don't paint the orifice, it goes. Is something I would not mind on a flag above my house, just to confuse people. Anyway, yeah. Now what it is, there's a programme on Sky Arts. I don't know if you're familiar with Sky Arts.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And there's a man called John Myatt who was, I don't think he'd mind me bringing this up, he was an art forger in the past.
A forger?
Yeah. He used to do paintings pretending they were by the great artists. They were like lesser known paintings, and they were him doing them in the style of.
They're always brilliant paint. I remember Tom Keating. He was the sort of 80s version
Tom
of
Keating?
Yeah.
So John Myatt was telling me, was once doing a TV show when he had to paint in the style of Van Gogh. And he suddenly broke down in tears and said, I can't go on. I feel that Van Gogh has entered me in some way.
He got possessed.
Yeah?
Yeah, he did over 2,000 forgeries. So John Myatt is quite...
Do you have that figure at your fingertip?
I was rather obsessed by Tom Keating.
Oh.
I'm very excited that you've raised the subject of Tom Myatt.
The fact that you've got a statistical backup, though, for Tom Keating's forgery career, I respect to you. Anyway, the idea was that I was to be painted in the style of Van Gogh.
Oh, right.
Oh.
I'm going to call him that. And so I'd already had a bit of an interesting posing moment this week. I was walking down the south bank of the Thames in London, and there was some Oriental people. I couldn't be sure exactly which country they came from, but they were Oriental people having their photos taken. Yeah. And what they'd done, they'd stopped an old lady, not old, perhaps my age. They'd stopped an old white lady to take their photograph so they could be in it together. And she was struggling, you know, the way the elderly do with any kind of gadgets.
Yes, yeah.
And one of the Oriental people broke from the trio that were lined up for the shot, and started to explain to this woman how to use the camera. And I could see this explanation going on, pointing at buttons, and the old woman sort of nodding and stuff. And I noticed that the other two people in the shot had stayed in exactly the same pose, this frozen, smiling pose, throughout the whole conversation. They'd obviously landed. And it reminded me, when I used to live in Birmingham, me and a mate used to do this thing where You know, on a crowded street, you have to stop. If you see you don't have to stop, but if you see someone having their photo took, you stop so you don't walk in the way of it. Me and him would walk, and we'd stand in the pose, smiling with our arm round each other, and people would stop, even though there was no photographer there. Try it at home. Not at home, it won't work at home. You need strangers.
We used to do the same thing where one of you would stand on one side of the road and the other one would stand on the other side of the road, and you pretend you were pulling a rope, and then the car would stop so it wouldn't go through it.
Oh, really? I've never seen that one. That sounds
very elaborate.
Quite dangerous.
There's no rope, Frank. It's just
but
perfect mime.
I find sudden braking, generally speaking, can be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, good point.
No. Anyway, so I sat for my painting, and it's. Have you ever been painted, Steve?
I haven't, no.
No, I don't think I have.
It's a very intense experience, I must say, because basically you're being very, very stared at.
Are you thinking about your pose? Have you got your
thinking a bit about my pose?
like a chin on your fist, kind of how you want to be remembered?
Well,
in this moment?
I was Van Gogh. It was Van Gogh. It was 2-year period.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I wasn't. You know, I wasn't going to be messed about by anybody. But of course, the artist, he really, really stares at you, and you have to stare back at him, because it's based on a self-portrait, so obviously Van Gogh was looking straight into camera, as it were.
It's very intense, that portrait.
Well, but I did enjoy that, because how often nowadays do you get to really stare at someone you don't know that well? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a child, I was very much one of the ones that used to stand up on the bus seat and really look at the person in the eye. I mean, what an opportunity to really check them out. And I don't know when that stopped. There must be a cut-off point. You know, when you're 15, if you start doing it, it can all go a bit wrong. And there must be a day when you do it and somebody says, "What are you looking at?"
Yeah.
And it goes wrong. But when you get away with it, it's a joy. I mean, I use Addison Lee cars, and they have a tinted back window. Oh, it's great. Freedom. Really looking at people.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, when you get a different taxi and there's no tinted windows and you're staring at people, they can actually see you.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, you know, often with people, I tend to avoid their gaze. But I don't mean their gaze. That's people that they own that are homosexuals. I certainly don't. I don't think that's allowed, is it? That the ownership of...
Frank.
No. I don't mean homosexual, that's allowed. And thank God for that.
So how long did the portrait sitting take?
Well, I would say he was actually at it for about 3.5 hours.
Can't I take a photo of you or something? Is it...
Oh, it's not... Oh, hold on, I'll show you what we've got.
You haven't got it.
I've got it with me, this won't
Is
work
it
so
showing
well.
you the work in progress?
All right. No, this is... Have a look.
Oh, my goodness! Oh, he's passing it over. Oh, I like it.
Do you like it?
Yes, I do.
But I wear a hat, as you may have noticed. Now,
But something's... Your hair doesn't... It looks a bit Terry Hall.
my hat.
Yeah, just there's a vibe of it. I like it, though, Frank.
Yes. Well, I look a bit different, so I do look different in a hat, I find. But I've got a very big head. I don't know if I've ever told you this before. You're laughing at my portrait?
I just looked at the portrait, yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It looks like a man who's on the run in the 15th century.
Yeah, that's what I was after.
Yeah.
Wanted dead or alive.
Yeah.
Preferably dead.
I like that.
Yeah, I love it. And the thing is, you don't get a fee for doing this programme, you get the portrait.
Oh, I wonder who else he's doing.
So that's 2 gigs I've done in the last 10 days. One for a pie and one for a painting. I'm just going to do it. Objects beginning with P is what my contracts now basically consist of. And, no, it doesn't involve that. Right, just in case you're thinking. What? So, I've got a very big head. A wardrobe woman once said to me that me and Benny Hill had got the biggest heads in British comedy that she'd worked with.
Circumference or ego?
No, I think circumference. Yeah,
okay.
I think my hat size is 7.5. Right?
I think every gentleman should know his hat size.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's the most common. What do you think the most common is? Have
Hat
a guess.
size. Extra large.
What kind of size is that?
That's not a size.
Numbers. 6 7/8 is the most common.
Oh,
I might
is
have
it,
7.5, so that's pushing it. I think what they said to me is that, you know, obviously my theory is I have a large brain, but apparently I have an average-sized brain. But on the back of it, there's a sort of an enormous annex, which I'm thinking is perhaps my comedy section.
Yeah.
It looks like a smart car pulling a Winnebago from side on, my brain. If you look at my MRI scans.
I have a similar section for my back catalogue.
Yes, exactly. So a woman, the wardrobe woman said to me, here's your hat. So I put it on, it sat on top of my head, as hats so often do. And I said, did you not get my hat size, my unusual hat size? And she said, well, I took it to the wardrobe people, and they said, it must be a mistake.
They did.
Really?
I mean...
Oh, thanks.
No,
Really?
imagine how I felt.
Oh.
I mean, I once tried on. I was at a museum in East London. After hours, they allowed me to try on a hat once owned by the Elephant Man.
What?
And
Don't say it fitted.
And I found it a bit tight. It was a bit on the tight side. It weren't too bad.
What an admission. Frank Skinner's got an obese head.
It's not. If you look at it straight on, it looks fine. It's depth. It's the depth of the head.
The depth.
Thank
Your
you,
head's
darling.
like Argos, isn't it? It's like a little bit at the front, and then it goes back where all the stuff's kept.
Yeah,
That's how...
that's exactly what it's like.
You'd never know it, really. Honestly, I
No.
wouldn't look at you and say he's got an unfeasibly large head.
No, I'm all right with it. I think probably by the time I'm
Hats.
60, I'll have to have it in some sort of scaff. You know that head scaffolding people have if they get a really bad injury? I think I'll probably need that every day. Just
What
to
about
keep
the
it
rest
up.
of the families? Our Keith got a big head.
No, I think it's just me.
He covers it with, he's got a lot of hair, our Keith.
Yes, but no, his head size, he's got a small head. He's not unlike Pob.
Were you put out when she said that?
Well, I was, I thought it was a bit of an odd thing to say. It wasn't, it lacked a little diplomacy.
Well, this is the thing, see. I had a mare this week as well. In terms
You had a
of
mare?
Mare, nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Abbreviated. And I was at a funeral on Wednesday, and I'd never met the daughter of my friend who died, and I went up to her, and what I wanted to say was, it was a lovely day, great funeral, lovely to see people here. She played the saxophone during the funeral.
Did she?
She did, yeah. I mean, it was upbeat, up-tempo, and because we were sort of passed in a moment, what I wanted to say to her in front of all the family was that was incredible, that was brilliant, your dad would have been so proud. And I just abbreviated that, my mind did, to the 4 words, that was great fun. And because I was walking past her, everyone shot me the dirtiest look.
Oh, no.
As if you'd say to somebody who just lost their dad, that was great fun.
Well, I mean, funerals can be... They can be entertaining, though. If they're a celebration... for me, saxophone music would probably spoil the whole thing. I don't mind the saxophone, but not as a solo instrument.
No?
No.
You prefer
Bit
an
Kenny
orchestra.
G for you, you're not a fan.
Well, did it sound like Sweep doing a very moving eulogy? Did it sound like that? I bet it did. Yeah, well, and at the end, on that faux pas subject, at the end of this, when we stood because there's a big bit where he takes off the red velvet, John White, and says, "There you go," and you see the painting, and it's quite scary because obviously, if you didn't like it, that how would you
Be like
handle
that
that?
episode of Extreme Makeover when they cried.
And he said to me, "What I like about it," he said, "is it's retained that real sort of peasant feel." Sorry? He said it's still got that real sort of peasant, it's painted peasantry of Van Gogh, and it's still got that. Right. Well, thank you very much.
In fairness,
At least I haven't been in prison. Is all I'm saying.
in fairness, he took the words right out of my mouth.
Well. Yeah. So I get to keep that now. Me as
Frank,
peasant.
I love
Me as big-headed peasant.
The big-headed peasant. Yeah.
The big-headed peasant would be a great pub name, wouldn't it?
The big-headed peasant. Give it up for big-headed peasant.
You'll never guess who was in the big-headed peasant last night. The big-headed peasant sounds like something like if there was a post-nuclear survivors sort of village, there'd be a few big-headed peasants, wouldn't there?
Well, what's interesting is that in years to come, maybe the association with you might even be lost in the mists of time, and you might just be like the potato eaters, the big-headed peasants.
Yeah, I'll be,
You'd be like the Mona Lisa, you'd be famous.
Well, thank you for predicting my widespread anonymity. Appreciate it.
No, I just mean they might not know it's you, Frank.
No, I think that's the same thing, is it?
No, because if he's going to write the big-headed peasant on the picture...
Oh, I say no. He didn't. He didn't go so far as to
okay.
write it down. I think I'd have wrestled him to the ground.
Oh, I got away with
When
that.
they've been in prison,
That was a terrible
they're
moment.
slippery characters.
was
It's hard
in
to
my
get. It's hard to
boots.
get a grip on them.
Frank,
Yes.
we've had an email in.
This is great news.
Yeah. It happened in the week. They're very active. Keep going like the borrowers.
I love... I'll tell you what a great resource our listeners are. I think we've got the cleverest listeners. If you imagine the sort of people who listen to, say, let's say 5 Live.
You hate 5 Live.
I do. Imagine them sitting at home in their tracksuits. Whereas we get people who come up with all sorts of strangeness.
Do you have a name for your followers? You know, like Wogan had, like...
I do think them as I think of them as my secret cyber comedy army, because there's a lot of podcasters amongst them, and I think not many people know about the podcasts in a way.
So you don't have a name like Skinnies or...
No, I wouldn't disrespect them.
I would. No.
But I like that they're sniggering into their iPods all over Britain, and not all over the world. People don't quite know what they're laughing
What
at.
about them, like, laughing on a train in their iPod, and then they just say the word big-headed peasant, and the person opposite them is, like, mortally offended. Fights
But
on.
what's the chances of a big-headed peasant being on a train?
On his way to
No.
his home village, post-apocalyptic
Could be on his way to the big operation that the local community have put together to pay for. He daren't risk getting into a fight at that point.
So the email is from Paul Martin Lawrence.
Is that hyphenated or?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 2 forenames or 2 surnames.
But, let's call him PML.
PML, love it, Frank. Love it when you get on board.
Premenstrual looseness. You never hear of that, do you? People are absolutely fine with it. They actually feel more relaxed. Can I not say that? Hold on.
I don't like it.
Oh, no, I can't.
Okay.
Turns out I can't say that. I think it'd be all right with that. Bit sexist in that restriction. Carry on.
He says it's in response to random street occurrences.
Okay.
Dear Frank and colleagues, on a recent podcast you mentioned random street occurrences in
I wonder
passing.
what that was. It's quite a big category,
yes.
isn't it? Random street
It's
occurrences.
very us, but I can't think specifically. Anyway, it says, I wondered if you or any other listeners have ever come across wildly random or bizarre graffiti. I'm not talking about toilet cubicle-based smut,
No.
but a random statement where you wouldn't expect to see it. I saw the words turkey cob on a lamppost on my way to work. Can anyone beat that? Yours faithfully.
Turkey cob. A cob. We're on the same page here. Is a sign of is a sort of a roll, a bread roll.
Bread roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turkey cob. I really hope that there wasn't some practical reason behind that. It's been written there by a sandwich man, an aide de memoire. I think we've all used a lamppost as an aide de memoire in the past. I hope that is just some. There isn't enough of that, actually.
No.
Really sort of random, weird. I'd like to encourage that if that's
I
legal.
would. I like seeing weird band names. I once saw graffitied the band OMD, which I thought, why would an OMD fan? They're all kind of like Stuart Lee men, aren't they? I can't, with Waitrose carry bags. I can't imagine someone actually bothering to get spray paint out if you're an OMD fan.
Well, graffiti, it's all gone, you know, that it's all gone that kind of arty way.
Yeah.
With big.
Yeah.
Let's face it. I mean, no disrespect, guys. It's glad that you're not just out, mogging people and things. But the truth is, if you saw that stuff in a gallery, you wouldn't think that's a brilliant piece of art. It's only because it's on a wall. You're surprised by its location. It's not special. Whereas Turkey Cob, I'd be happy to see that in the National Gallery.
Yeah.
Cob.
It's just something. I saw a guy. This doesn't class as graffiti, but I saw a guy in London, and I haven't seen this T-shirt. I think since the 70s, and it said, "Take me drunk, I'm home." I haven't seen that for so long, and I thought, has he had that for years, or has it suddenly
come back?
Someone thought, well, the youth won't even know that one. It's time to bring it out. But when I used to sign on at Smethwick Supplementary Benefit Office, there used to be 2 things written on the wall there. One was "Cheer up, money isn't everything," which I thought was a very lovely touch, and the other one was "Beggars can't be choosers" on the wall of the Supplementary Benefit.
Brilliant.
But how lovely that somebody took the trouble to, and they were controversial, but they were great. If you were short of conversation, they'd often trigger stuff like. And it's often sorry, Steve.
I was going to say that's what Turkey Cob, doesn't it? It really challenges your mental boundaries.
It does, but it's a bit closed. I don't know how far you can examine Turkey Cob. To me, Turkey Cob just is, and that's what's great about it. But beggars can't be choosers. Is there any truth in that? Are
Very
beggars...
Interesting philosophical
the
question.
next time somebody in Victoria asks me for...
They can choose. They can deny. They can say, when they think, Frank's going to go and spare any change, and you go, yes, and they go, oh, can I have the £5 instead of the £1?
Yeah, but they don't do that, do they?
Yeah, but they could
They
be
don't.
choosers.
They don't. I'm not sure if they can be choosers.
So it should be beggars are not choosers.
No, but maybe they can't be choosers. The next time someone asks me for change, I'm going to take out a selection of silk neckties, drape them out of my forearm, over the forearm, and say, I'm going out tonight, which one of these would you go? And if they go, I think it is true. Beggars, quite rightly, it turns out, cannot be choosers. They have no choice in that matter. And there's a certain justice to that, isn't there?
Speaking of beggars can't be choosers, did you see that guy, that 82-year-old in Bournemouth? He's a tramp, according to the papers.
Can you still say tramp?
Well, I've just said it. I hope you still can. It's in the papers.
Well, it's in the headline.
Yeah.
Frank, I think it's acceptable when he's what I call a gentleman of the road.
Okay. No, I've seen
That's
the
what my
picture of
father
him.
would call them. They're sort of an old-fashioned, it's more a tramp ethos. It's a lifestyle as opposed to a lack of choice.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Well,
Proving that beggars
There's an
can't be
element of
choosers.
choice, I think, with a gentleman of the road.
I love the word tramp. I think it... Because I grew up with those sort of old tramps in 9 overcoats type of tramps.
Did you have a local one then that everyone knew?
Oh, we had quite a few. There was our Keith for a start off. Yeah, there was quite there was a few about, but not many. Not like, I mean, now it's a widespread phenomenon. But then they were people who really made the decision. What they used to say, there was 2 reasons people became tramps: pressure. So one day they just couldn't cope anymore. They'd say to the wife, "I'm just nipping out for 20 sovereign," and they'd just keep walking. And then there was the broken heart tramps who think, well, if I can't trust her, I can't trust anyone, and they give up on society in general. Those were the 2 big reasons.
The 2 big ones.
Yeah.
Why people became tramps.
Yeah.
Surely there were like multi reasons. There were a myriad of reasons.
I spoke to someone who worked with tramps. I feel I'm over tramping the pudding over the word. I'm so relieved I can say tramp. I'm just saying it over and over. A friend of mine worked in Wolverhampton with tramps, and he said those were the 2 big reasons.
All right.
So anyway, this tramp it's a more of a positive tale, isn't it?
And also, and coming back to your point, you can't say tramp. You must be able to say tramp, otherwise Frank Sinatra's songs all have to be bleeped about the lady being a...
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's not talking about that he's dating someone who wears 12 overcoats.
He's more talking about the sort of tattoo that our producer has on her lower region.
Yeah, which you call
a tramp stamp.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Em, but I do.
No, he's talking about a woman who's a bit brassy.
Oh, right. Okay, fair play. Well, this 82-year-old gentleman on the road, he's been... local people in Bournemouth, they want to nominate him to carry the Olympic torch through Bournemouth.
Well, that's a risk, isn't it? They won't see that again. Has he gone? Hold on a minute.
I really like the idea of
that'll be in a pawn shop window.
next to the Coldplay guitar.
Exactly.
I like the idea of a tramp carrying the torch, lighting his rollies off the top.
Well, I saw a picture of this tramp, and he looks to me like a definite fire risk. I wouldn't want to put a naked flame next to him.
How many overcoats?
But he could go... I mean, he was a... God bless him, he was a greasy-looking individual. He would go up... He would be crackling like a... You don't want him to complete the last leg of the walk as a human fireball. I say you don't want to. I wouldn't mind seeing the YouTube, but, I mean, it would be a great way to go for a tramp.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked it. He had a sort
ceremony.
of C6 Steve element to him, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I like a tramp to look like that.
Well, he had sick. I think there was sick on him.
I also like that they said there was over 4,500 votes for him. There is a slight killing in the name of X Factor thing going on here, I think, isn't there?
Well, they trusted Connie Hock, and she messed it up. So let's try a tramp. He what was it? Oh, they called him Olympic Trampion. That was the headline.
That's good.
That is Trampion. I'm happy with that. He's I think it's a nice idea.
It's a great idea.
He'll be a little bit cleaner than a London tramp as well, I think.
Why?
We do want him a little bit cleaner. I hate that when someone asks you for change and they're
they look better
yeah,
than you do.
Yeah. I feel I could make an effort.
Yeah.
You know, dress down a little.
Yeah.
I don't like a baseball cap on a tramp. You know, you're asking for money, not receiving an MTV award. No, but this one, he's a supernatural tramp, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's able to tell the time. He doesn't have a watch, but he's able to tell
That's
the time.
not supernatural. Oh, I see. He doesn't have the watch.
It doesn't. No,
What?
they can just stop him and say, "What time is it?" And he'll say 11:58, and they check their watch, and he's absolutely correct.
How do you think he does that? That's amazing. Although, does he really do that? You see, I had one of my great-grandfathers who was a one-eared gravedigger. That's true.
What?
Yeah. On my mum's
What a
side.
handle for a great
And
grandfather.
he used to, honestly, Old Nick.
He's got two handles.
Old Nick would used to boast about how he could always know the time, but he only knew one time. He had something a bit wrong with his mouth.
Right.
So he used to go 3:30 all the time. That's what he thought. It was permanently 3:30.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe it.
But
That's
then-
what I mean. I don't think he's saying the actual time.
But then they do say a stopwatch is the most accurate watch there is. So if old Nick used to say 3:30 all the time, then he would be the most accurate clock there would ever be.
There you go.
Why?
Because at one point it would be 3:30. That's what they say in old...
One could argue at 2 points.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. If he can, though, let's imagine
Yeah.
that the trampian can say that know the time any time. Is there a less practical special skill for a tramp than knowing the time? The one person who cares what time it is, he knows that. Rubbish. Anyway, I hope he gets it. I like the sort of
That'd be brilliant.
yeah, I like the rebelliousness of
Well, can you
of a
imagine
tramp carrying the.
Can you imagine a better person than him to have doing it? I mean, who would you have doing it?
Tracy, no, Amy Childs, probably. I'd have
Amy
doing
Childs.
Amy Childs from Towie.
Oh, would you?
I'd like to see her doing it.
I'd quite like to see Frank doing it in your little 118 get-up, little singlets.
Oh,
That'd be
maybe,
good.
maybe
Something
me,
of the Roger
me,
Bannisters about you.
maybe me and the tramp could do it in a sort of three-legged race. What do you think? That'd test your skills, wouldn't it? Because you'd know that you'd feel you were getting stuff. I mean, imagine I'd have to be power hosed down with bacterial hand wash after, but not in a disrespectful way. No, I think Amy Childs has got what I would call a sort of TK Maxx prettiness.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah. And I think, you need to have representatives of the people. I mean, Connie Hawk, who does she represent?
Well, she's crossed over now.
Oh, no, she's an intellectual. Fair enough.
Yeah.
God bless her. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have done it, but she did allow it to be wrestled away from her. I think you've got to be prepared to take a bullet for the a bullet.
And the tramp would.
The tramp would think nothing of it. Taking a they could shoot away through 12 overcoats. I'd fancy his chances. What else?
Frank, well, I want to get your views on something, because this is an area you have experience of, and I have less experience of. And it's to do with...
I'm on edge.
It's not being paid in pies.
Okay.
It's... I got a taste of dog walking this week, Frank, because my sister was away.
Oh, yeah.
So while she was away, I thought I'll walk the dog. It's a lovely little... He's called Giggle, and he's a chug. He's half pug, half chihuahua.
Well, right.
So I took him out. Now, I had no idea. It opened up a whole new world to me. There's a whole social universe of dog walking. And you meet men. Oh, I've met loads of them.
I've heard that.
Yes. Davina McCall met her husband that way.
Did
Really?
she? Dog walking?
Yes.
It's a slippery slope, though, isn't it? Isn't that how they'll...
Well, that's where you meet them all.
yeah, but
There was one.
When she chatted him up, he was still 200 yards away. Oh, she's a shouter.
There was a lovely sort of silver fox. Oh, the man, I mean.
Okay.
Not the animal.
Right.
And it was a bit weekend access, his setup. I could sort of tell.
Oh, really?
There were teenagers there. They seemed slightly resentful of him.
Okay, I suppose the mother had turned them against him.
Yeah. And a little wary of me, perhaps.
Yeah.
But we had a lovely chat.
But what did you chat about? The dogs?
Well, no, because I had a chug and he had a cockapoo. So
Well, that was worth seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happened?
we had
Cockapoo.
cocker spaniel / poodle.
Oh, okay.
So we both had crossbreeds.
Oh, yeah.
So we discussed crossbreeds. It's difficult with the dog walking though, because you don't. When you end the conversation, you can't do exchange of numbers. It's a bit sleazy and Tory MP on Clapham Common. That you can't do that.
Do you know the trick, Emily?
What's that?
Look on the dog's collar. It'll have "if found, send to."
Oh no, they've got chips now.
Oh.
The other thing is that people tend to retread the route, don't they, with dog walking? So if you're keen, if you go back there 2 or 3 days, around the same time, you'll meet that guy.
You might
again.
see the silver fox. I met a not so nice man as well. He was a bit "my name is Earl." He was a bit.
Oh, yeah.
He had a sort of baseball cap, and he looked,
once I said a baseball cap, I'm in the opposite direction.
he was holding this dog. It looked like it was like a wolf. I had sort of, you know when all the saliva coming down the fangs. It's horrible.
Devil dog.
Yeah, devil dog.
You see, how often, if there's a devil dog on one end of the lead, there's a baseball cap on the other. That's pretty common.
He said, guess what he said to me, Frank? He said, I came over with Giggle. He went, no. I said, sorry. Look, friendly ain't his thing, I'm afraid. Friendly ain't his thing.
Okay.
He said he'll have that tiddler for breakfast.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. And then he said he's had his fingers burnt before. He said his fingers burnt. I didn't even want to go into it. His dog.
He had fingers. I don't know about you, but the thought of a dog's fingers. See, what I love about a dog, I love a dog's foot. I've sat next when my dog's been asleep when I had a dog, our Shep. When I sat next to him on the sofa, I would sometimes take the lower leg in my hand and have a really good look at his foot. And they're beautiful because they've got the separate toes, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's like a bit of hair that grows in between. It's like if you allow crazy paving to become overgrown. It's like that, and there's something fabulous about dogs' feet. But this bloke, he's a hooligan, isn't he?
He was a hooligan.
No.
And then I saw, you know what, Frank? I like a bull mastiff. They're massive, aren't they? It's like Brian Blessed on a lead. One man, but then I embarrassed myself because I did the classic. I said, "Oh, he's cute," and the man got the wrong impression. I think I might have said, "Look at it." I said something about his legs as well, and he thought I meant him.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going back, Frank. I'm there tomorrow.
Well, I've heard it's a sort of chatter. I mean, you say I'm experienced at it. I've done almost no dog walking.
Oh.
You see, the dogs that we had, we didn't take them for a walk.
Why not?
They sort of doubled as strays. We let them out, is what we did. We'd get up in the morning and let them out, and then they'd come back about 8 o'clock at night looking a bit rough-haired and slightly crazy-eyed. God knows what they went up to. We had one that used to bark outside the butcher's on a regular basis until he got bones.
Didn't you take them out for daily walks then?
No, I don't know if we had a lead. The only lead I remember, we had like one of those chain leads, and I took Shep for a walk. I was drunk.
Yeah.
I used to get him very drunk, take the dog for a walk, 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, he saw a cat run off. I came home without him. My dad came into the bedroom outraged and hit me with the lead.
Did he?
Yeah.
Families.
Yeah. So when you watch The Royal Family and you think, this is very realistic, it isn't. Where's the violence? That's what No, so we never really... and nowadays, I don't know how this has happened to me, but I've become allergic to... I haven't tried dogs, but cats. If I go around someone's house and they've got a cat, I've started to sneeze in. I never, ever had that. I live with cats with David, and now I've started sneezing.
Isn't that weird?
I just can't handle the dander anymore. I'm a slave to the cat dander. Oh yeah, that'd be some good graffiti, wouldn't it?
Slave to the cat.
Isn't it Grace Jones? Slave to the cat dander. No, the way it was though when I was a kid, and there was less of a sense of ownership with dogs. So you just let your dogs out. They all hung out together. And
in your house, Frank, there was less of a sense of ownership.
No, but the local community, there was always dogs running around. You don't see dogs running around London on their own, do you?
You don't now, no.
I think they're gathered up.
They are.
That's what's happened. But Yeah, we used to. And if you were out and you saw, you know, say 2 dogs fighting, you'd go and get a broom and separate them. It wouldn't matter if they weren't your dogs. It was, people took responsibility, group responsibility. It was like any football
Like
fan.
hitting them with a broom.
It was a bit like, you know, zonal marking on a football pitch. Whoever's next to you, that's who you're marking. And if a dog was there, you discipline that dog. I'm recommending it for the nation's children. I think it's the way forward.
Oh, yeah.
Communal dogs.
Zonal marking. If you see kids misbehaving, go in and tell them off, give them a cough around the ear. That's what they used to do in the old days.
Yeah, you can't do it with kids. You can do it with dogs.
Why can't you do it with kids?
Because people get uppity about it and they don't tell my kid off. You know, my kid's got a right to throw himself on the floor and throw juice all over
Wear
the
a
place.
false beard.
False beard. Oh, that's what's missing from that, isn't it?
Yeah.
A disguise.
What did you got to hit them hard enough to knock them out? That's the way. Can I say that Absolute Radio absolutely does not approve the striking of children or dogs. It's all right, I've found, with poultry.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.